The current Western agenda is strongly anti-China. Western politicians are openly advocating to shift focus from the conflict in Ukraine to focus solely on China, the so-called real enemy. But why is this happening? The simple answer is power. As Western influence in the world is in decline, they're trying to destabilize their competitors, which includes China. And we can see this clearly in the stock market of China. So the big Western investment houses are pulling their investments from China. Hedge funds are shorting the Chinese stock market all at once, all at the same time, in a manner that was unprecedented till today. We also see a drying up of foreign or Western investment in China. Those are not direct sanctions, they're a form of soft sanctions. So what are soft sanctions? Just think of it like a financial shadow ban. So you can technically still operate your business, but you're not allowed to make money. So we see all of a sudden private banks halt their flow of money to a specific target area, and companies drying up investments all at once. We all know that the government is behind this. So the Chinese economy and their stock market is under attack, and I see some economists propose that China could reverse this by buying US Treasury bonds. But what does that have to do with China's internal issues, like the real estate market or the youth unemployment? Absolutely nothing. And now I'm going to explain to you why this anti-China sentiment is running so hot. So the US is running low on foreign investors. With growing deficits of $2 trillion and an estimate to hit $3 trillion by the end of next year, the US needs countries like China to buy their bonds. Why don't we just make our own banks buy those bonds? Well, those banks did, which is why they became insolvent, because they bought government bonds and were forced to buy these bonds. They became insolvent, so we had to bail them out. And that bailout is still growing and is close to hitting $6 trillion just this year. That is 11 2009 bank bailouts. 11, okay? So they're trying everything different than monetizing the debt directly like Japan does. And Japan, after their upswing in the late 80s, all the products in the West were basically Japanese. They made the best electronics. After that, they had a lost decade, and the Japanese economy didn't really recover from that. So China is on that edge right now. Unfortunately, China made some stupid investment decisions by propping up their GDP for building infrastructure. They're building these high-speed trains and these ghost cities that no one lives in, that looked good on paper, but now China is on the same edge. But don't forget that the stock market is not the economy. China's economy is doing well, especially when you compare it to Western economies like America, and especially China is doing well when you compare it to Europe. Core CPI of China is 0.8%, if I'm not mistaken, which is, far better than the inflation we're experiencing in the West. Their GDP is better than ours, and they just lowered mortgage interest rates for the first time since 2009 because they're looking for a open market solution to their problems and not the Bidenomic solution and Keynesian solution, which is just to print money and exactly cause this lost decade, which the West wants to cause in China.